The investment is made possible with support from Penn State Altoona, recognizing recent inductees into the Sheets Fellows Program. The Sheets Fellows Program includes an endowment to cover the cost of a study abroad program plus scholarship support. altoona.psu.edu/sheets. Penn State Executive Programs, partnering with multinational corporations, government, and nonprofit organizations to develop leaders and shape strategies for business results. Information at smeal.psu.edu. Ben Franklin Technology Partners, providing capital, business support services, and Techcelerator boot camps to help entrepreneurs get from startup to up and running. Information at cnp.benfranklin.org. NPC, creating career opportunities for people who want to build something, lead something, or make something better. Learn more at npcweb.com. Scientific Systems Incorporated, quality chromatography since 1967. And from viewers like you, thank you.
Prize money for the investment was made possible by Invent Penn State, Ben Franklin Venture Investment Forum, the Penn State Learning Factory, and the Harold and Inga Marcus Department of Industrial Manufacturing Engineering Innovation and eShip Fund. Investment breeds innovation, and innovative ideas can change the world. Penn State, along with the PennTap USEDA University Center, is committed to engaging with young entrepreneurs, and through IncU, will award a total of $30,000 to winning student-owned companies. Teams from Penn State will compete to impress a panel of judges with their unique ideas. Each team will have a chance to pitch the panel and see if they can stand up to the judges' scrutiny. The team or teams with the strongest ideas and best pitches will leave with the seed money necessary to jumpstart their companies. The competition will be intense, and the money will be given to only the most innovative ideas. The judges are waiting, the teams are ready. This is The Investment. Our judges come from all corners of the business and entrepreneurial world. Paul Silvis is founder of Silco Tech, a coding technology company. Susan Palombo is founder and president of Ready 366, a brand consulting and design agency. Dean Klein is general partner and managing director at Penn Venture Partners, a venture capital fund. Melissa Shipke is founder and CEO of Tassel, a company dedicated to building technologies that strengthen alumni networks. Those are our judges. Now it's time for our teams to impress them. Our first team is Mod Zero.
Hi, my name is Luke Yost. I study material science and engineering at Penn State University. I got into shooting sports when I was 12 years old. It's kind of a family tradition. About 2 years ago, I was looking to purchase my first $1,000 optic, and that was to use for both competition and recreation. And I couldn't justify the purchase because I would have to only use it for one of my rifles, or I'd have to re-zero it each time, which would take about 15 minutes for me to do and lots of ammo. So instead, I invented the M0 technology, which allows me to zero each rifle to that scope. So I can use the scope on every rifle without having to re-zero. We're looking to impact 3 different markets, so that has to do with the military, law enforcement, and civilian shooters. If we were to win the money, we'd spend it on 3 different things. The first one is to do increased customer engagement, so trips out to the range like this to talk to other shooters and make sure we're addressing their needs. The second one is to pay for external testing so that we can make sure our product meets military spec. And the third one is to finalize the cost of the intellectual property, which is submitting our full patent. External testing is very important to make sure that our product won't break under standard military use. So that's to make sure that if they were to drop it while it's attached to a rifle, it won't break, to make sure that it holds zero, to make sure that it holds up corrosion testing. One of my passions for a long time has just been shooting sports in general, so being able to create a firearms-based company has really fulfilled a lot of my interest with that, and I hope to take Mod Zero much larger than it is right now and make a real big impact in the industry.
Hi, my name is Luke Yost, and I'm the founder of Mod Zero. In my 8 years as a competitive rifle shooter, I've experienced one consistent pain: the zeroing of my rifle, which is the calibration process of aligning the reticle of the scope to the point of impact. Typically, the zeroing process takes 15 minutes, 15 shots, and special laser and spine equipment. To avoid this hassle, I typically purchase duplicate scopes to fulfill the same purpose on different rifles, which I could no longer consider doing when looking at purchasing my first $1,000 scope. In figuring out how I could use the scope on several rifles without having to zero it each time, I realized the critical flaw in the zeroing process. Rather than calibrating the scope to the rifle should be calibrated to the scope. This led me to invent our patent-pending M0 technology. Built on a 20-year-old industry standard called the Picatinny rail, we take the static rail and make it adjustable for windage and elevation. Users can then zero each rail and each scope once to a common zero, allowing them to freely swap components and be properly aligned. For me, this is a matter of convenience and sport. But for the men and women who serve this country, the zero of their weapon is a matter of life or death. In talking to combat veterans, each one has had a story of either a scope or a weapon failure due to mud, dirt, electronics, brutal force, or even shrapnel. When this happens, like on the left, soldiers have two options. They can either swap out scopes to have unaligned optics, meaning that they will be endangering bystanders or teammates, or they can swap to 50-year-old backup iron sights, which decrease their accuracy by up to 50%. Not only is our product great for soldiers in the field, it's fantastic for the taxpayer's wallet. In the past 10 years, the US military has spent over $1 billion putting scopes on each of their rifles. Not only do we decrease the need for duplicate scopes, but we cut the lifetime cost of zeroing those scopes by more than 50%. Finally, our product also has advanced but easy-to-use range adjustment capabilities, which are critical to the accuracy for SWAT and soldiers who need to be adaptable to varying situations. Judges, today, I'm seeking $15,000 to cover the final prototypes, our intellectual property, military testing, and trade show travel. With your investment, we can launch this summer and begin manufacturing here in the USA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'd like to ask you a few questions now.
Certainly.
Paul?
Yeah, Luke, very interesting. I'm a hunter myself and a gun enthusiast. So, but I was looking at, I don't have multiple scopes for my rifles. I just have a rifle with a scope on. So it seems like you're really narrowing your market just to a few individuals that may change scopes like yourself.
In a sense, we're looking at the hunting market in a very interesting way. For us, we found talking to hunters, the value add to them is the accuracy and range adjustment, because that allows them to get better hits on target when they're out hunting deer. And it also allows them to save on zeroing with reducing the environmental impact of the bullets when they're zeroing. So by increasing the accuracy and decreasing the need for ammunition to zero it out in the field, we're looking to make an impact there.
In terms of the product itself, how do you compare it to current scopes? Is it the same size? Is it heavier? Is it performed the same way?
So I'll let you guys pass this around too. Our technology is neither a rifle nor a scope. It's a mounting solution, so it stays on the rifle. And how it compares, other rail options like ours are just static. They can't be adjusted to adjust for the alignment.
So what's your plan for distribution? Are you going to sell this exclusively to the military or direct to consumer?
Yes.
What type of margins do you get on that?
That's a good question. So we're looking at 3 different customer channels, that being the military, law enforcement, and then civilian use. For civilian, we're looking to do kind of the standard e-commerce approach, getting contracts in the military, mostly with special forces early on. Typically, to answer your question about profit margin, we're looking at an MSRP of $275, a little bit less for military level orders, and then cost of manufacturing is approximately $165 from raw materials to in the customer's hand.
Have you spoken to anyone in the military or in law enforcement who might have kind of purchasing authority, and what was the feedback?
Certainly. So we actually have a demo this Tuesday with the local State College Police Department. They're very excited by our technology. We've also have an advisor on our team who spent 30 years as a ballistics expert for the U.S. military, performing testing on Army units. So through that individual, we're getting a feel for how the U.S. military works in both testing and contracting.
Have you been able to do any tests on how long this calibration lasts? I mean, it works when you do it. Is it 6 months later or 9 months later? How are you sure that the calibration is still there?
Typically, it's a trip to the range, kind of standard testing that users are used to going through right now. We're looking at an iteration time of about 6 months to double check that zero, but
But you haven't done those tests
we've
yet?
done initial tests to make sure we can do the proper alignment, but long-term testing we haven't had the chance to. We're looking to do that mostly with our pre-production samples, which we'll have in 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I guess what I was going to ask is if you have the military has a lot of the same rifles with the same rails. So if you zero a scope to that rail that's built into the gun, doesn't it essentially do the same thing your device does?
They have to do it individually for each rifle, because even if you have 2 rifles off the same manufacturing line made by the same people with the same SKU, simple manufacturing tolerances change that zero up to the point that you can have, if you aimed at one man-sized target, you would hit one man-sized target over at about 100 yards.
Well, thank you very much, Luke. Appreciate it. Well done.
This is for a very specialized consumer.
Yeah.
This is for the consumer that spends a lot of money on guns. And, that's a lot of target shooting.
So they'll pay anything for the next best thing. Yeah.
I thought it went great. I think the judges understood the problem that we're solving. I think there was a little bit of a challenge making sure they understood the technical aspects, but overall I thought it went great. I wish I would have spent a little bit more time on business development questions, but other than that, I felt pretty good about the answers.
Our second team is Rain Reality.
I'm Elaine Demopolis, and I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering.
My name is Bhatia. I'm a computer science major, and I'm a senior.
Rain Reality is an edtech startup that specializes in augmented and virtual reality. We work to bring AR and VR to education, especially in K through 12. Augmented reality is what it sounds like. You're just augmenting your space, so you're putting a virtual object in your real space.
We basically enhance your physical surroundings. Say you're in a science classroom and you're learning about dinosaurs. So you're learning about the different kinds of dinosaurs, their weight, their height, what they look like, what they ate. You would be able to see this 3D dinosaur right in front of you on your desk, and you'd be able to interact with it.
For us, success is scalability and reaching a lot of educators and students in K through 12. The money would allow us to really scale as fast as we want to, and we'd be able to host a lot of different content on our website and our app.
This technology is going to change the way that we look around us. It's going to change just our world around us in every single space. That's really what drives me, and I think a lot of the team members, is we want to change education.
We want to be the next step. We want to be the people to take education and make it something that we never really dreamed about before.
Hi, I'm Elaine Demopolis.
And I'm Bhatia, and we're the co-founders of Rain Reality, an educational tech startup that believes in the power of augmented reality to transform education.
Today we want to talk to you about a project that we're currently working on because we believe it will really allow you to see the effect that AR has on education. Imagine you're walking down a nature trail in Pennsylvania. You probably don't expect to see anything other than a squirrel or a fox, but you see a tiger right in front of you, living, breathing, looking at you, and you can interact with it. This tiger is an augmented reality, an experience that allows you to place virtual objects into your real space.
So we're creating this experience right now for Penn State's nature preserve, Shavers Creek, so visitors can walk around their trails and learn about different Pennsylvania critters while experiencing AR. And we also want to bring this to students. So we want to have students have these out-of-mind and out-of-body experiences that they never were able to have before. So they can go to the ends of the Amazon or to the face of Mars.
This is transformative. That's why we're taking the same idea to classrooms through our platform. We are creating a platform that enables educators in K through 12 and STEM to use AR in their classroom. The majority of districts already have plans to integrate STEM into their classrooms, and we would help them get there. Our content would initially be focused on students before they reach middle school, because this is where tablet programs exist right now in those elementary grades, and we also want to reach those kids before they reach that pivotal point in middle school.
So students are end users, but the people that are creating these lessons are the teachers. So we want to make it really easy for teachers to make their own learning modules in AR. So the way that we do that is, first, they just have to input their course content, and from there we use artificial intelligence to find relevant 3D models and other content. And from there they can just push their learning modules to their student tablets.
The other major part of our platform is our in-house STEM activities, which will be collaborative, engaging, and will allow students to really use their imagination to build and learn in augmented reality. However, we recognized how difficult it is to reach schools and districts directly, which is why we are not. We're taking an indirect approach by targeting the STEM providers who already have relationships with schools. Not only are we making their content more competitive against other providers, but this path has a very low barrier to entry.
So we're asking for a total of $17,000. $14,000 of it is going towards building our MVP, which includes our web-based platform, our iOS app, and in-house activities.
Here, $3,000 will go towards marketing, attending conferences, and bringing on an instructional designer to help us get these really informational learning modules available. We are reimagining the future of education.
And we hope you can reimagine it with us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Rhea?
I think it's awesome. I'm a huge fan. As somebody who works in the ed tech space, I think there's a huge need for more technology in the classroom and more technology in education. And I like your approach as well to not sell directly into the K-12 space, as that is a huge challenge in the educational environment. Are there any key providers that you guys have identified that to partner with to help bringing this in the classroom to start doing some initial testing?
We already made a connection in Indiana. It's a science park. They have training and career there, but they also host a bunch of high school competitions. So they agreed to work with us so that we can launch our MVP to them and their resources as well.
So what is your intellectual property? Because AR is available to a lot of people.
So the really special thing about our platform is that we are using artificial intelligence to grab these 3D models from content that the teacher puts in, and then out comes those 3D models, and the teacher can then augment the space around that module. This has never been done before. Teachers don't have to know how to code to do this, so our P would mostly lie with that process of getting from the AI to the actual completed module.
So there's two things that teachers are probably short on, and first is probably time. You know, they're trying to teach a class and lesson plans and all the other demands they have on them. And the second is probably money. So how much time does it take for a teacher to create one of these 3D experiences, and how much does it cost?
So at least for the time portion, I'll get to that and you can do the rest of it. So that's why we have this artificial intelligence, because we know that it takes a lot of time for them to take out from their day to make this course content. They've already made the content, so why do we have to do that over again? So that's why we're using artificial intelligence, where we can just basically make it for them, and if they need to update or edit a little bit, they can. They want to make their own custom 3D module, go ahead, but we know they don't have a lot of time. That's why we specifically catered that part to them.
The other part about it is how we bring in money actually from this model. Since we don't want teachers to be paying for anything, we don't want to target the schools and districts directly. By going through the STEM providers and forming activities for them that they sell with their content, we would be forming relationships with those schools and districts, and eventually our project would be more trustworthy and reliable, and then we can bypass the curriculum companies and get to the schools directly.
Sorry, so would you be licensing this to the STEM providers or providing it in a subscription-based service? What type of pricing do you think you can get for the technology?
We would probably be approaching it by having a strategic partnership with these different companies. We don't really want to license right now, but it's a potential option. But through strategic partnerships, it would allow us to have more creativity with how we present everything. And the idea being that their content would pretty much stay the same, it's just we're augmenting their content to make it more competitive against providers who are just offering, for example, a textbook option.
The kids, they're the end users, they're the beneficiaries of this, but do they need to have a tablet? Do they need tools to be able to,
Yeah.
And
So
how do you figure that?
So right now, yes, right now we're targeting iPads. So there are schools around Pennsylvania that have, and around the country, correct?
Yeah.
That have the 1+1 program. So that means students have these iPads, and those are the schools we're targeting first. So we're going in, we don't have to bring in the hardware, so it takes a little bit of the time off of us, but it makes it easy for them to get this software on their iPads.
So this looks like it may be AI and kind of coding intensive. And you mentioned the need for 17,000. Where would that put you with respect to delivering the platform?
So we'd be able to, by the end of this year, be able to have our first MVP. So we want to have all these steps laid out and have it usable, have it workable. It might not have all the 3D models that we need or all the activities, but we want to have a limited version that teachers can start using right away.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Excellent.
But it's a great idea, and they can build good partnerships. And they took a lot of feedback around not selling it directly in the schools. And
I think it went really well. I mean, we came out of it feeling pretty
good.
Pretty
yeah,
good.
I think we hit everything we wanted to hit. We didn't thankfully we didn't mess up like in the presentation, I don't think, right? Yeah.
We didn't mess up, and the stuff that we weren't able to pitch, they actually asked us, so we were able to elaborate on the things we really wanted to talk about with them.
Yeah.
Our third team is Musical Minds.
My name is Alex Patin, and I'm a computer science major at Penn State. Music has been something that's been a pretty big part of my life, and Musical Minds has sort of given me the opportunity to tie my passion for computer science with my passion for music. People are always using music to either focus or work out, and it's capable of so much more. It has potential with things like ADHD, Parkinson's, motivation, so that's what really got us into this music for wellness idea. Our end goal is really to empower people through music. We really want to be able to harness all of the capabilities music has to impact the mind and bring that to the average consumer. If we receive the money from this competition, we plan to use the money to get our product in the hands of 20 new users to start our first beta test. And from there, we're going to be taking the results from our beta test in order to publish our first white paper to prove the efficacy of our product. Music is a really emotional experience, and I think oftentimes people forget that and detach themselves from it, but that's what really makes music special, and that's what gives it the power to impact our lives. And that's what I'm really passionate about.
Hi, I'm Alex Patin, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Musical Minds, the first Pandora for your mind. Research recently published by the New York Academy of Sciences has shown that expertly tailored music is capable of impacting positive and lasting results on things like ADHD, anxiety, and depression, all of which were declared as world health epidemics in 2013. Now, while 60% of Americans cite music as a tool used to reach a desired mental state, no music streaming services tap into the wellness capabilities of music. At Musical Minds, that's exactly what we set out to do, and we've done so by developing our flagship product, Trills. Trills are brainwave sensing headphones that enable us to bring expertly tailored music to you. Users simply select their desired mental state from focus, motivate, uplift, or relax, and watch as our algorithms start to identify positive neural responses and tailor your playlist to your mind. Afterward, a user can see a recap of all their progress towards that mental state. After taking part in a 10-week accelerator program 4 months ago, our 12-person team successfully finished our first working prototype using only a fraction of the $18,000 we've raised thus far. And recently, we've begun drafting a provisional patent with the Penn State IP Clinic. Throughout this process, we've talked to over 500 potential customers, young professionals interested in engaging in mindful activities, and many of whom are affected by things like ADHD and anxiety. All of them are eager to see our product on the market, and to make that happen, I'm asking for $17,000 to expedite our release on Indiegogo. That money is going to go towards both securing a full utility patent and putting our prototype in the hands of 20 beta testers. With this beta test, we plan to release our first white paper on the efficacy of our product. Moving forward, we plan to license our technology to an existing headphone OEM for retail to consumers, but the scope of this technology extends far past just recreational wellness. And for that reason, we also plan to partner with organizations like the Alzheimer's Foundation and National Institute for Mental Health as we expand into more specialized clinical and educational applications. I hope you will help us on our journey to impact positive change on the mind through music, and I thank you for your time.
So you're saying this measures brain waves.
Right.
So people, is that an output that they get? They look at that and they see their brain waves. What is the value to them to see that report?
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing is we're monitoring electrical activity in a person's brain using dry contact EEG sensors, so it doesn't require any preparation whatsoever. And we're taking those electrical fluctuations and we're correlating them with different cognitive states. So what we're giving to the user is basically an output of how focused they are, how relaxed they are over time, and we're trying to correlate those attributes with different song traits to find music that really empowers them to achieve that mental state.
So you have a competitor also that offers a brain sensing headphones.
Right.
How's yours different?
Yeah, so there's another company called Cocoon that makes brainwave sensing headphones for sleep improvement. They're purely passive, but what we're doing differently is providing real music to people. So we're more active in what we're trying to do, so we're actively recommending you music that's going to help you.
Do you have any future plans as you partner with some of these medical organizations to add other educational things into the app to help people achieve that state of mind?
Yeah. So one feature that we've realized is really important for the customers that we've talked to is more guided feedback. So that's definitely something that we're looking into pursuing. Yeah.
Right now, I can go to Spotify and press relax, or I could press workout. So I'm trying to understand the value that you're bringing to the experience, because you said music's emotional.
Right.
And I can get that experience without your help. So help me to understand.
So one of the things that we realized after talking to the 500 potential customers is that the music provided by services like Brain FM, which is more like binaural beats type stuff, and music like the Deep Focus playlist on Spotify, for instance, they're all like ambient noise, or it's music that you don't really know personally. So what we're doing differently is we're trying to find music at the intersection of both your interest and your neurological responses to music, rather than one or the other.
And who owns the data? So are you guys going to be also selling some of the data around how the music impacts people?
So we don't plan to sell any of the data. One thing that our consumers seemed very adamant about was the security of all of the data we're collecting. While we're not really able to see like what exactly your thoughts are, people were particularly concerned if they didn't understand the technology fully. So the security of our data is really important to us. So for that reason, we're not going to be selling it.
Alex, that was fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's an interesting thing that he doesn't want to, like, I think where his value is collecting that data to be able to sell to the market.
I thought you had a very, very good point on that.
Like
it wasn't
that's where the business model, I think, would be in this.
I meant to ask him about the quality of the headphones. You know, Bose is pretty good at headphones. You would never want to...
Why are you reinventing a headphone?
Yeah, right. So there's a lot of things. I mean, music works today as it is, you know.
I thought it went pretty well. I was anticipating a lot of different, more complex questions, so in that sense, it went pretty well because I wound up being more naturally prepared for them, but I prepared for the wrong stuff. But anyway, yeah, I thought it went really well. The judges were all really friendly, so it was really easy to get through.
Our fourth team is Phospholutions.
My name's Hunter Swisher, and I'm the CEO and founder of Phospholutions. Growing up, I used to go hiking through the woods looking for mushrooms and identifying mushrooms and things like that, and I've always known I've liked plants and that biology perspective. Our product is called Soil Saver. It's a granular amendment that we apply to the soil to soak up and hold fertilizer there until the plant actually uses it. So we're not actually adding a fertilizer to the soil, we're actually adding an amendment that's going to make what you apply to the soil more efficient. Over 60% of the fertilizer that we normally apply washes away before the plant even has the opportunity to use it. And when that fertilizer ends up downstream, it ends up causing environmental disasters in our waterways. So really, our product has this environmental aspect to it, and it's also going to make better quality plants. We just made our first large-scale sale to the golf course at Penn State. So if we win money, I think it will help validate our product is meaningful, we're going in the right direction, and that our business model makes sense. We've tested our Soil Saver product in the home and garden market. We think that money will help fund the marketing and the packaging costs and things like that associated with the second batch of our product. Now we'd like to just ramp up and start scaling.
Hello, my name is Hunter Swisher. I'm the CEO and founder of Phospholutions, a company I started to reduce the environmental impacts of fertilizer. Fertilizers consume a massive amount of energy and money. The problem is, over 60% of it will wash away before ever being used. When fertilizer ends up downstream, it causes devastation to entire aquatic ecosystems. We at Phospholutions have found a way to prevent 98% of fertilizer from washing away. The answer is Soil Saver, a granular, non-toxic mineral applied just once per year. Our initial target market for Soil Saver is the $23 billion turf industry. The course we made our first sale to in Florida spends over $350,000 on fertilizer a year. Soil Saver has been shown to reduce fertilizer and water cost by over 15%. Currently, our product is being used in 14 courses throughout Florida, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, including our very own course here at Penn State. The Penn State Turf program is nationally recognized, and we've used the alumni network to jumpstart our sales. We've recently partnered with a large distributor and have plans to get our product in over more than 30 courses this spring. We anticipate selling 5.5 million pounds of Soil Saver in the next 5 years, exceeding $4.8 million in annual revenue by 2022. This is just for the turf industry alone. In the last month, we released our product line targeting the $41 billion home and garden market. Turf sales are cyclical and take a while to close, so this will be a steady stream of reoccurring revenue all year round. At the end of March, we held an event for local gardeners, and over 1/3 of the attendees bought our 3-pound containers for over 600% profit. We've been building relationships with garden centers and retailers to start pushing product quickly and add an e-commerce platform to our site to allow for direct purchase. Our team consists of 2 other young, motivated individuals, Ben and Lisa, both experienced in the startup culture, a board of directors, and a scientific advisory board filled with professors leading the academic world in their expertise. I studied plant science at Penn State and spent the last 2 years of college bringing this technology to market. Currently, we are utilizing Penn State IP and simultaneously working with the IP Law Clinic to develop new patents in the near future. We're looking for $20,000 to invest in marketing, inventory, and new trials. Phospholutions is continuing to grow the local economy by creating jobs here in State College. We are even impacting our very own Chesapeake watershed with our technology. As we scale, the goal for Phospholutions is to tackle the fertilizer problem by developing products for the largest contributor, agriculture. Thank you.
Thanks, Hunter.
So, very exciting product here. Congratulations. A question on the residential plan, because that's the one I'd like to understand a little bit more about. So how are consumers going to know that they need this product? Right now, consumers buy fertilizer, I guess, for their lawns, right? Is this incremental to them?
So for residential lawn care, we're really going for the high-end homes in very targeted regions. So if we were to go somewhere like Southern California, where drought is a huge issue, they're actually replacing their turf with artificial turf right now because they can't keep their yards green.
Okay.
Our product has been shown that we can reduce up to 15% of water use with just one application of our product. And so it will actually build in the soil over time each year and provide even greater benefit over time.
With the Chesapeake Bay initiative, all our dish detergents and laundry soaps don't have phosphates in them anymore. But your company's Phospholutions, which makes me think of phosphates. So what's to say that this Phosphosolution that you're putting into our soils, minerals, doesn't eventually leach and cause the same problem?
Okay, so our product actually has no fertilizers. We're using a mineral to basically soak up and hold the fertilizer that's already being applied to the soil and keep it there until the plant uses it. So what that means basically is we have a sponge that sits in that soil, and all the phosphorus that farmers are applying that would run down into our Chesapeake Bay is not going to.
So that mineral never breaks down?
Mineral stays in the soil for over 20 years.
You mentioned the golf course, I believe, in Florida. So can you explain how much did they use and how much they might have saved as opposed to what they possibly did before?
Our product is going to cost courses roughly $10,000 depending on the size of the application per year. And so they're expected in areas like our course in Florida where they're spending $350,000, they're clearly going to see a much greater benefit than maybe courses up here in Pennsylvania that spend around $40,000 on fertilizer.
Can you apply this with something else? So they're using a large spreader. Can you?
Yeah, so we actually strategically put our product in during a process commonly known as aerification. Yeah. So golf courses naturally go in and once or twice a year pull up cores and apply sand and other soil amendments. We actually have shown that we can add our product before the sand to get it deep into the soil, and that's where you get the best benefit.
Perfect.
Who do you see as your competitor?
There are similar soil amendments out there that are broadcasting things like reducing water use, reducing nutrient use and things like that, or there's products out there that are stimulating root growth. And kind of our product is combining all three of those and then adding this added bonus of we actually are showing that we can reduce the operating costs to maintain that playing surface, which is something that no one else out there in the market has been doing.
So what's your plan to really educate the consumer? Because it seems like there's kind of a huge gap in education on the need for this product in addition to what they're currently doing.
Yeah, so we kind of coined this catchphrase of better roots, better plants. And so that's something that's not very well known to people, even amongst golf course superintendents. We still have to educate them on how, hey, you increase your root growth. Every inch you go below the soil surface, it takes twice as long to dry out. So for every inch you go down, the longer it's going to take for your turf to die of drought.
Very nice, Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think he should go through major landscaping companies to get. Could the people trust that before seed the market? No pun intended.
Yeah, no.
You get the commercial, like the golf clubs who understand it because they save the money. Then you go through landscaping companies, and eventually it's like this is a product that professionals use.
They actually reacted with a lot of really good questions, but questions I was very prepared to answer. And so I felt that what I had to say to them at the end, it seemed like I answered all the questions and they felt good about it.
Our fifth team is Reflexion Interactive Technologies.
I'm Matt Rhoda, studying Health Policy and Administration. I actually had a very severe concussion myself, playing ice hockey. So I really went through a lot of the protocols and procedures along with it and realized how flawed it was. Reflexion Interactive Technologies is a company that's created a fast, affordable, and portable concussion screening device. We talk about accuracy, portability, and speed. Accuracy because our device tests multiple cognitions at once. Typically, you need multiple pieces of large stationary equipment, but we combine that into a single 30-second test, which brings me to the next point of speed. Because it's only 30 seconds, it's very reasonable to have a team do this every week. And then portability, the device fully deployed is almost 6 feet long, but it actually breaks down into individual panels that fit in a duffel bag. If you go to high schools and small athletic organizations where the vast majority of athletes are, you'll find that they don't have the budgets or resources to have the top-notch technology that's been developed in the last couple of years. Because of that, there's really a flaw where it's needed most, and that's for high schools and small athletic organizations. These athletes are diagnosed quicker so they can get healthier sooner and then keep playing the sport they love. We're trying to provide parents peace of mind so that their kids are protected and that the next generation of athletes can be happy and healthy. My name is Matthew Rhoda, co-founder of Reflexion Interactive Technologies. And when I was a junior, I slid headfirst into the boards during an ice hockey game. Worried about a concussion, my coach sat me on the bench and asked, "Where are you? What year is it, and who's the president?" I answered those questions and then kept playing during the game. But I don't remember any of that. The reality was I had a concussion so severe, I had to miss almost 2 months of school after that. And my story is not unique either. There are over 50 million young athletes in this country at risk for traumatic brain injury, the vast majority of whom have little or no concussion testing. With an issue as serious as pediatric brain health, there needs to be a more affordable and scientifically validated solution. So we have developed the Reflexion Edge, and a patent-pending LED touchscreen that collapses into a duffel bag and deploys in minutes. In a weekly 30-second test where athletes interact with light patterns in front of them, we can monitor many important factors in detecting a concussion simultaneously. We look at hand-eye coordination, depth perception, peripheral vision, all of which have been known to be correlated to concussions, but have conventionally required large pieces of stationary equipment. By combining this into a fast 30-second test, we can constantly be monitoring athletes throughout a season, meaning we change concussion detection from retroactive to proactive. That means we can get a more accurate return to play decision and that no injured athlete has to go back out on the field like I did. So this concept is the study of both independent and our own research because we are in a clinical study right here at Penn State University with a world-class concussion researcher, Dr. Sam Slobodov. Now, we plan to sell to parents and high school athletic directors. Parents who care most about their children will crowdfund the cost of hardware for $2,000. So that way schools own the device, but can avoid an upfront capital purchase. Then schools will pick up a subscription fee of $20 per athlete per year. We use this model because it's very similar to other concussion tests, meaning we can smoothly transition our system into their school that's safer and more affordable. Now, to get here, we have raised over $150,000 from angels, grants, and the Ben Franklin Technology Partners. And by May of this year, we will have completed phase 1 of our clinical study and can begin to phase the Reflexion Edge into the market. But to get there, we need to create solid front-end and back-end user interface for our software. That means we are asking for $20,000 to hire a team of 5 student software developers to work right here in State College this summer. This next step is crucial, so I hope we have interested you in helping Reflection provide parents peace of mind.
Thanks again, Matthew. So over the past year, what are the 2 most important changes that have happened in your company?
So the first, I would say, is our interest in not looking for the silver bullet anymore. Because we realized that regardless, you could have a concussion test that does, it's perfect. It can tell you 100% without a doubt if you have a concussion. But a lot of times that still requires subjectivity for a trainer on the sidelines to say, hey, that was a big hit, let's order a test. So because of that, we've changed our testing into this 30-second concept where you can do this constantly throughout a season, meaning regardless of whether or not you report a concussion, we're still testing you and we can pick up on those mild concussions that would typically get ignored. The other thing is portability. We realize while that's a great concept, that it's not practical for schools to be able to do this unless you can have speed and portability. So by making this a collapsible device that deploys in only a couple minutes, it's very easy to throw this on a bag to an away game or even store it in a locker room.
So if I understand correctly, your model is to sell this to parents. So have parents pay for it in some way.
The hardware itself, yeah. The schools have a long sales cycle, but parents particularly want to see their kids protected as soon as possible. So we can market this to them and say, all right, let's crowdfund the hardware itself, and then schools can smoothly transition into that concept of $20 an athlete per year.
How much would it cost for the parents to crowdfund one of these?
So one device we're selling is $2,000, which is barely over cost of production.
Why wouldn't you charge more then?
Because in any model we run, we realize that this subscription fee greatly takes over any kind of revenue stream that we have. The way we got to that number is if there's 20 games during a season, for something like basketball or along that, we can do $1 a test. That's how we can market this.
So you mentioned doesn't need to be FDA approved, but are there currently any concussion diagnostic tools that are FDA approved?
Yes. So the most common concussion test is the impact test. That's used in high schools, and it does have FDA approval, but there's a number of flaws. Besides being proven by researchers completely unrelated to me to be an invalid test compared to others, it still has the issue of that subjectivity of a trainer on the sidelines, meaning they don't get tested unless someone says that was a big hit, let's order a test.
Why a 6-foot panel? Why not a 12-foot panel or a 4-foot panel, or why not an iPad?
Yeah, a lot of times people wonder, could this be limited to something like an iPad? But we actually require this type of size because we're looking at many important factors like peripheral vision and hand-eye coordination. Something like an iPad where you're just pressing dots in a small screen, you could never gain that type of accuracy.
So you mentioned wanting to use the $20K to hire developers here over the summer for your user interface platform. Can you describe to us kind of your vision for what that platform would provide to the end user? And also, have you identified some developers now that we're getting close to summer?
So we actually already have a couple lined up, but the end goal, or what we hope to accomplish by the end of the summer, is a fully functional user interface that makes it very easy for a customer to interact, to run a test, to input data like a person's age or information, and then also have it be a cloud-based system. So regardless of their school system or their team, they can access their same data at a hospital, at home, wherever.
Thanks, Matthew. You've made great progress.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Curious why you wouldn't charge more for the device. If you think about like how many players on a football team divided by that many parents, he could probably like $100 a kid at least at a minimum to cover upfront costs for development.
Yeah.
What would have been interesting to learn more about, is it like black or white, or is there a gray zone? Meaning like, right, so it's not an obvious case of concussion, but there's some signals that say, you know what, let him sit out the rest of the game.
They seemed very positive towards it or open to the idea. Concussions a lot of times resonate with people because of personal stories or family members, so I think that they were able to relate.
Our sixth team is Sicuro Innovations.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Pisciotta. I'm a fifth-year senior in mechanical engineering at Penn State. Right now, I've always loved the field of engineering. Played with Legos, did took everything apart, didn't always know how to put it back together. But I've been born an engineer. Technology has outpaced the ability for us to secure the technology. Currently, there are around 7 billion internet-connected devices on the global network. And a lot of the devices that we're putting in our homes, that are in our hospitals, that are making things in factories, are all exposed and can be hacked. The devices that are communicating with our company, Sicuro Innovations, is developing artificially intelligent software to protect Internet of Things devices from cyber attack. If we are fortunate enough to win the money that we're asking for, it is going to go a long way into helping us navigate the intellectual property landscape, and with software is very complicated. The money will also fund the production of the first prototypes that we will be able to put onto the market to be able to collect the data for our machine learning platform to be built upon.
Hi, my name is Pisciotta. I'm a fifth-year senior in mechanical engineering at Penn State, and I'm the founder of Sicuro Innovations. Sicuro is a product-based cybersecurity company that reduces the total costs that connected device manufacturers pay to secure their products. Our competitive advantage is that we put a mitigation platform on the device itself rather than on the network. Our vision is to become the best business option to secure connected devices. Now, licensing with Sicuro provides top industry analyst and lifecycle product protection at a fraction of the alternative in-house option. That saves our clients money and drives revenue for us. Sicuro has a two-part product. Our machine learning software embedded in the device uses local data to build a characteristic model of the device. It then deploys device-specific defense strategies to thwart attacks locally. Our cloud-based artificial intelligence leverages multiple data models to identify anomalous threat signatures using vector analysis. All of our embedded platforms are then continuously updated for future protection. Our intellectual property resides in our proprietary software, our multiple data models, and our device-specific defense strategies. All of that is contractually protected with copyright and trade secret. Now, there would be 30 billion connected devices on the global network by 2020. However, just last year, there were $2.1 trillion of global economic damages as a result of intrusions. While we would love to expand into multiple market sectors, Sicuro is going to focus on the $8 billion ag tech market initially. We're doing this because the ag tech market is a rapidly expanding market that's rich with vulnerable connected technology, and that's critical to feeding our growing population. Any exploited vulnerability could be disastrous. Sicuro has a fully functional prototype and will be conducting alpha testing this May with multiple ag tech companies as well as universities. Our full product will be available in January of 2018. Sicuro's team of 5 has plenty of professional industry experience, and we are accompanied by 5 strategic professional industry advisors. We're seeking a $20,000 investment from you judges to make sure that we are financially capable of conducting our alpha testing this May. We seek to fund the hiring of a full-time cyber analyst that's focused on data science, to fund security certifications, as well as purchase prototype components. Judges, help Sicuro protect our connected future. Thank you.
Yeah, Nicholas, I want to start with a question. It sounds like that this software, protective software, has to actually be downloaded on the device itself.
Right.
So somebody like myself, I've got thermostats in my house, Honeywell thermostats. That's not something that helped me at all because you have to come to my house and download all the software?
No, so we're actually selling business to manufacturers. We saw that the B2C market wasn't mature enough to be ready for that. Some people want it, some people don't. But the responsibility of the security of the products we saw in the last 2 quarters shifted from the end user to the manufacturer. You saw that with the DYN attack as well as Volvo in the last congressional hearing.
So speaking of that, tell me a little bit more about your alpha test, because you're going to go to the ag. Who are you actually going to, and what does the test look like?
So we're going to ag tech device manufacturers, which are irrigation systems, software, soil analysts, autonomous drone people, a bunch of different devices that are being employed on farms to automate the farm process. So we're going to be working with those manufacturers to embed our software onto their devices so that when it goes to product, they can ensure it's secure, which is the #1 thing that the Department of Homeland Security put on their recommendations for.
And so what does success look like? How do you know if it's secure? Right now, if they're not being hacked and they're not hacked during the time they're testing your product, I mean, how do you know that your product stopped the hack or, you know?
So we receive the characteristic data from our embedded software. Our cloud-based AI is able to detect when something happens and is called upon for auxiliary support if there's an attack happening locally with that embedded device.
So who are your competitors in this space, and how do you differentiate from them?
But a lot of competitors are focusing on the network protection rather than the device. We are building security from the bottom up with these devices by working with the manufacturers. So our competitors in the big sense are Intel, Cisco, Intel's McAfee, and then there are 35 other competitors that we identified that are doing artificial intelligence or embedded technology, but not in our space.
So, and updates are like a major concern in cybersecurity. So does the artificial intelligence from your cloud-based platform make the security smarter and be able to detect things faster to limit the amount of updates needed, or is there no kind of change in that?
So the way that our update process works, let's say there's an attack on an irrigation system. That irrigation system could be in California. However, there are other irrigation systems in Georgia, Florida. If an attack happens on an irrigation system in California, our embedded software and those other irrigation systems are automatically updated to protect against that type of attack.
And if you're cloud-based for your artificial intelligence, how are you going to protect that?
So security, being the emphasis of our company, is one of our main concerns. So we're protecting our embedded software, and we have a communication protocol that's solely our protocol between our cloud-based artificial intelligence and our embedded software. So the types of information that'll come to our embedded software won't be either proprietary or, involve some level of privacy, or be able to be intercepted in a way that's known by an attacker.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you.
So I wonder what happens when the bad guys buy one of these devices and look at it and say, here's how it works.
That won't take long.
I'm still very curious why it's going to agriculture first as the industry and how frequently they're being attacked in comparison to some of the other industries.
Yeah, you can't see a farmer out there on his combine being attacked.
But if you can convince him that he needs it, it's a great place to test. That's,
They reacted really well to the initial product. There's a huge market for it, and they acknowledge that. However, I hope that they were able to identify or show that my identification of this niche market was something that would actually be able to help me tackle the problem.
The teams have made their pitches. The judges have asked their questions. Now it's time for them to deliberate and decide which teams have done enough to earn the funds to make their idea a reality. We'll now head into the deliberation room for a glimpse into the judges' discussions.
His market is really the military and very high-end gun shooters.
Yeah.
It's not the normal Joe like me that buys some hunting rifles and 22s. And,
yeah, because to your point, too, around how many people have multiple guns that they're going to be changing scope so frequently.
Right. You already have an invested cost, so who is this really for? I think he's on to something, which is great, but I do think it needs a level of testing with the users, like the military and the law enforcement.
It's purely a competitive market.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are a bunch of teachers out there who like it, they will pay for it. I mean, it's not very much, but...
it's a new tool to be a better teacher.
Could potentially be a lower cost way for this to get into more classrooms more quickly without having super technical teachers trying to build augmented reality environments. The one thing they didn't answer that when we did ask was how they were going to be charging for it.
Yeah.
They kind of dodged that one a little bit.
They really need to refine their marketing plan and the whole delivery thing. I mean, the idea is good, but who's going to use it?
Super smart kid. I mean, I love his discovery.
Oh my.
I think it's...
Oh, yeah.
If he didn't do it, somebody else would.
I think strategic partnerships are going to be really big for him.
I just didn't see, show me the data that this thing really does something.
What's the end use case for it? How does it change behaviors?
I mean, we already enjoy music, and we have a way to access it. So I don't quite fully understand the value of reading the brain waves. I think the commercial use for this product is amazing because, again, The millions of dollars spent on golf courses a year, that's probably their highest operating costs.
When he talked about the money, I think he wanted $20K.
Yep.
You know, helpful of marketing. There was
And
no
trials.
specific.
I know, that bothered me a little bit. Tell me what you need it for. It should be called water saver and not soil saver.
You know, you did mention too that they already have distributors lined up and some key players that are talking about this in the space.
People seem to be excited about it. I mean, I feel like he's addressing a very serious issue.
I like the idea of marketing it to parents directly.
What is the value proposition of having this in any school, and why should parents be putting money towards it? Why should the schools be putting money towards it too?
I think he's at the beginning of an idea, and I think there's so much more that has to be discovered that he has to go through. I think to really understand is there, how close to market are you with the product?
But I agree there's a value to protecting the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
Why he chose the ag market?
But it's a smart industry to tackle because it's going to be a huge problem moving forward for everybody and everything.
I think this is a great thing.
The judges have deliberated. The decisions are made. Now, the teams will find out who will receive money to fund their company.
Okay, needless to say, this was a tough decision for us. But we decided to award 3 prizes. And the first prize of $7,500 goes to Mod Zero.
Thank you.
And the second prize of $7,500 goes to Rain Reality. And the top prize of $15,000 goes to Reflexion.
It was definitely a really tough decision. All of the students' companies were great, and their ideas were really great, and they presented really well. For us, it was really around who could make the most out of the money and really hit that next milestone.
It's a tough decision. I mean, all these kids come with passion, and they have really great ideas. They put a lot into it. But we tried to take the personal out of it and really think about how they were best going to use their money to advance their business idea.
It was tough. There was no clear winner. And so we did a little bit of process of elimination.
The primary thing we looked at was what company, if we gave them this money, could take their product to market quickly, make something happen quickly. It was meaningful money to them, to be able to prove their concept, their idea, hire something or build something. For the winning team that we awarded $15,000 to, we really thought he had a great use of funds and that he already had some developers lined up that he'd be able to really effectively use that to get to that user interface for his product and really better understand how he's going to be selling that to his end consumer.
I think it's evident here from the 4 teams that Penn State has been able to produce some very significant entrepreneurs.
The competition was heated. The judges were tough, but 3 of our teams managed to win them over. Congratulations to the winning teams. They leave with the money to jumpstart their emerging companies. For the other teams, it's time to reposition for the next pitch. Thank you for joining us for The Investment.
Penn State Altoona recognizing recent inductees into the Sheets Fellows Program. The Sheets Fellows Program includes an endowment to cover the cost to attend a CEO conference plus scholarship. altoona.psu.edu/sheets. And from viewers like you, thank you.